History of beekeeping. There is evidence of honey hunting and harvesting as far back as the Mesolithic, about 8,000 to 6,000 BC, with some of the best preserved examples to be found in Europe. In Spain's Cueva de la Arana, is that right?
Cueva de la Arana translate to cave of spiders.
Rock paintings depict a woman harvesting honey from bees nesting on a cliff face.
The practices, like you see in the photo there, are still alive in present-day Nepal, where young men brave dangerous heights, wearing minimal protective clothing and using flimsy ladders and ropes. They winch themselves up the cliff face to collect honey home. You can see the ladder here. Only the climber's father-in-law and brother-in-law are allowed to assist. The reason being is that they are the only men who could not marry his wife and benefit in his death should he fall from the cliff. So they want to be extra careful. In these cultures, only respected men held in high regard by their community are permitted to collect honey in this fashion.
Honey hunters face swarms of bees and get stung repeatedly while suspended from rope ladders. Lower hives can often be reached with wooden ladders or ropes. Hunters suit up in rudimentary protective gear and use smoke to scatter the huge honey bees from their hives to reduce the risk of confrontation.
Some honey hunters claim they are finding fewer hives than in the past because bee populations are impacted by heavy pesticide use among local farmers and global warming.
In Egyptian hieroglyphics, a cartouche is an oval with a line at one end at the right angles to the oval, indicating that the text enclosed is a royal name. We know beekeeping has been practiced for thousands of years in Egypt and the ancient lands around it for at least 4,000 years. The Egyptians have been making hives in the same way, out of pipes of clay or Nile mud, often stacked on top of one another.
The Ephesian Artemis was a very different version of the deity than the usual goddess of the hunt. Here she was worshipped for fertility. Depictions seem to mirror this, with the deity wearing a string of eggs around her shoulders and chest. Also carved around her are depictions of bees. The bee was an emblem of Potnia, the Minoan Mycenaean mistress, also referred to as the pure mother bee. Her priestesses received the name of Melissa, bee. In addition, priestesses worshipping Artemis and Demeter were called bees. This necklace, called the Bees of Malia, is no bigger than a 10p coin, but the workmanship is phenomenal.
A new report provides evidence that many colonies of honeybees were kept in apiaries in the Malia area in northwest Malta. It describes the 3 stone bee houses and 13 cave apiaries, which together could have held over 6,000 traditional hives. The diptych, or wax tablet, was an indispensable tool of the Western scholar for thousands of years. A wax tablet is a tablet made of wood and covered with a layer of wax, often linked loosely to cover a tablet or a double-leafed diptych. It was used as a reusable and portable writing surface in antiquity and throughout the Middle Ages. Cicero's letters make passing reference to the use of a scire, and some examples of wax tablets have been preserved in waterlogged deposits in the Roman fort at Vindolanda on Hadrian's Wall. There are many etchings and paintings from the Middle Ages regarding beekeeping. Here we see the beating of the drum or making a loud noise, presumably to make the bees fly away. In my experience, it only makes them angry. There is little reference to the use of smoke then, but you can only imagine it could have been used.
As time moves on, hives started to get more functional and attractive, as in this photo. It looked more like a status symbol than a hive.
We know beekeeping has been practiced for thousands of years in Egypt and the ancient lands around it for at least 4,500 years. The Egyptians have been making hives in the same way, out of pipes of clay or Nile mud, often stacked on top of one another. These hives were moved up and down the Nile depending on the time of year, allowing the bees to pollinate any and all flowers which were in season. Special rafts were built for moving these hives, which were stacked in pyramids. At each new location, the hives were carried to the nearby flowers and released. When the flowers died, the bees were taken a few miles further down the Nile and released again. Tradition has it that beekeepers talk to their bees, be it insane ones or sane ones. As this picture shows, beekeepers have been talking to their bees about people who've passed away. This is to remember them, but also to inform their bees about people who've gone before us. Some of the old techniques are seeing a bit of a revival. The use of skeps in terms of old traditional use of beehives, or even gums, which are just practically hollowed out pieces of wood or logs. And these are coming back into fashion with people using them, and they are useful and practical in terms of what they do.
Tanzania, the use of beehives is not only for food and wax, but to protect their crops from elephants. All the hives are connected, and therefore if one gets disturbed, the other hives are alerted and the poor elephant gets several stings. We all know elephants don't forget, therefore the crops are safe, at least from elephants.
Religion and beekeeping have gone hand in hand for centuries. Not only was the honey used as nourishment, but the wax made the best candles. The common people used tallow, animal fat, to light up the houses, and it was dirty and smelly. The monks didn't want this, especially when they would spend hours, weeks, and even years handwriting manuscripts. They didn't want soot from tallow candles falling on their writings.
In 1851, the Reverend Lorenzo Langstroth noticed that when his bees had specific space available in which to move around, they would neither build comb into that space nor cement it closed with propolis. This measurement is called bee space. In modern beekeeping, a Langstroth hive is any vertically modular beehive that has the key features of vertically hung frames which can be moved with ease. The key innovation responsible for the hive's design was the discovery of bee space, a space where bees would not build comb, nor would they close it with propolis.
The Flow Hive is a beehive designed to allow honey to be extracted, simply by turning a lever. Although you continue to have to use ordinary animal husbandry when it comes to beekeeping, the hive does not need to be opened for honey extraction, and the bees are not disturbed. Mr. Smith of Innerleithen in Peebles developed this hive. He worked in one of the big Victorian houses dotted around there. In those times, anything that was easy to come by and cheap was used when it came to beekeeping. Legend has it that there were plenty of empty champagne boxes to use. I don't know who was drinking them, but at least he got those boxes and was able to make beehives out of them.
In recent years, beekeeping has become a popular hobby in back gardens. But be aware, this is a not-for-profit hobby. Invariably, it ends up costing you a fair bit of money. Therefore, before that investment, I would highly recommend you read about bees. An excellent book is Beekeeping for Dummies. It's very informative, it's pictorial, and you get an understanding of animal husbandry, because you are actually looking after between 20, 30, 40,000 bees, and you want to look after them to the best of your ability. I would also recommend joining a local beekeeping society. There are many about. My one, the Newbattle Beekeepers Association, is an excellent one, and they offer a year-long course, the basic beekeeping certificate, and it's well worth it. Beekeeping is a spring, summer and autumn pastime, with little to be done in the winter time. So why not use this time productively and be informed? What you've just been seeing are my grandchildren enjoying their hive in my back garden and reaping the rewards. Don't be alarmed at the lack of gloves or protective clothing. Fortunately, I'm an experienced beekeeper. I picked the correct time of day between 12 and 2 on a very sunny summer's day when the bees are out and they're at their most passive. We don't normally go in showing so much flesh. Enjoy beekeeping. Enjoy the rewards of beekeeping, as I have for many years. See you out there.